go. Every safe choice makes the next one automatic. Nobody warns you when the chain starts pulling away from the life you wanted. And the choices that made no sense on paper built everything I care about nowadays. A lot of the times, people will rely on going to the reasonable path, the one that is the most common, where every link makes sense. So normally you first get good grades, then you go to a safe job, then you get work your ass off to get a promotion, then you buy your house, you get your family, and you will repeat it in a cycle. And when life happens like this, each choice is defensible, and each one makes the next a little more automatic until breaking the chain feels reckless. So let's say that you got good grades, and then because of that, you got into a safe university graduation that you didn't even want that much, but it was something that maybe your family said you should do because it would get you a better job or the safe job. So here is college. I won't write. It is really hard writing with the touchpad, but I got the idea and it was too late. So you get good grades, maybe you go to a college course that you didn't want that much, and then after you start that career, it feels like restarting once again is not possible or would be too risk. So you end up years working in something that you did not really want in the beginning. And the thing is, there is a risk that people usually will not name. And I got the idea of this video from a text called Unreasonable that was written from Justin Welsh. And I gotta be honest, it is one of the best texts that I've read in the last weeks. It was a text, an article that I received in my email because I'm subscribed to his newsletter, and it was something that made me really think about the direction that I am taking in some parts of my life. And one of the points from his text is that the reasonable choice gets loud warnings. The reasonable one gets decades of applause. So this path is the reasonable one. And the unreasonable path will actually, let's say that you wanted to try a college degree that your family did not approve. Everyone would be loud about this decision. But we, in after people are loud about things that are unreasonable or are risky by nature, we will think about those risks. But as Justin said, the risks you rarely think about are the invisible ones that are part of the reasonable path. And I will I will briefly talk about some some facts from my own life that happened, and I was unreasonable a lot of times, but I refused the reasonable path because I never felt like I should do as other people told me. And I've made a lot of mistakes. I took so much risks. I sometimes I think that I could have done better in the past, but that has been done already. And the first break from the reasonable path was in 2020. I quit college and I started from zero because I had the problem that I took 5 hours of bus every day to study and work. And in 2020, we were all stuck at home, and I stopped going to college, but I had to cancel my college degree. I stopped studying at that time. And I was with no degree, no clients, and no plan. and it was actually the starting path that took me to nowadays, to today. And after that, after some years, I had to learn to program because I had no option. It was something that I started doing because I started working without a clear path to follow. I actually tried a lot of projects, a lot of tasks until I found my own path. And the other break that I can get from my own life is that it took me 13 years waiting to be ready to speak in English. So I dreamed of speaking English on camera since I was 14, and it was when I started learning the language. But I only finally started at 27, and as you guys are seeing, for 80 plus days I've been doing a video every day, and I started doing while I hated hearing my own voice. And 100 subscribers later, I actually started trusting it. I actually feel a lot more comfortable um, speaking in English, even though I know that I will not sound like a native, and I don't want it anymore. I think that part of my personality is uh, part of my personality is made by my mistakes, the way I mispronounce things, or the way that I use my mother tongue Portuguese in say some things that don't feel natural but kind of make sense. And that's part of who I am, so that's not a problem for me now, but it stopped me from speaking more in English for more than a decade. And another thing is that everyone said to me that I should get good at selling, and it was the biggest that and people said that it was one of the biggest problems that I had. But and I even planned to get to really put effort into getting better at selling, but I stopped and I bet on leverage, mainly after I started working with AI. So as I said, I planned all year to get better at selling. Then I quit forcing it, and I partnered on my strength. And together with a close friend of mine, me and him closed the biggest project I had ever landed, and I did not sell. It was my friend who sold the project, but I was with him together. And the pattern that I see in my life is that I actually learn things by doing and not by being ready. And as I said recently, being wrong is now cheap. I can make mistakes with AI, and it is a lot faster to fix it. And every break from the reasonable path that people would usually follow taught me the same thing. You start, and then after that you learn. And as I said, with AI, a wrong attempt costs almost nothing. So I can afford to bet before I am sure. And Justin talked about in his text about this is that there are questions that people may make, and that you should make too. And one of them is this safe? Will they approve? Will your family approve? Will your friends approve? Because these are the questions that keep you employed, housed, and respectable. And they also build the chain, one reasonable link at a time. And the stronger the chain, and if it leads you to a life that you don't want, it will be a lot harder to break. So I stopped asking if it was safe, and that's why I started working as a freelancer. I preferred working as a freelancer than trying opportunities that I clearly had, because my family is really well known in the city that I live, and I would be able to get opportunities of working here, but I chose the risk path of being a freelancer working online, and no one does that in my family, and that's life. So I started asking myself, does this life feel like mine? So after I took the decision to never take a bus every day again to work, I took the risk of being unemployed. And at the start of my career as a freelancer, it was really hard. And I was making little to no money in the first months. But that was the path that I wanted. And the point from Justin text is that the reasonable choice is the real risk sometimes. If your life is going through a path that you don't really want, I am not saying that you should abandon the security you have in your life. Don't do that. I just wanted to share something personal because a lot of times I had to take the risky decisions. Many of them were not good. I did wrong a lot of times, but all the good lessons and all the good results I achieved in my life came by taking risks and by making the unreasonable choice. And this is the text from Justin, as I said in the beginning of this video. It will be in the description. And for the ones, for the real followers that stay at the end of every video, I want to share about something personal. So that's why I did not say earlier in the video, because where I am right now is something that is actually bugging me. And that's what made me feel like a punch in the face when I read this text today, because right now I'm staring at another unreasonable bet, and it is the same fear that I felt before, and it feels kind of vague, and I will tell you guys if it works. But basically, I live right now with my parents, and it was a decision that I took 2 years ago to come back to the house of my parents, to my parents' house, and I just ended up being here month after month, year after year, and now I feel stuck in that area. And I don't think it's healthy for a man to be too comfortable. And I am feeling too comfortable living with my parents right now. So I am thinking about going to live alone again, because I've done that in the past. And yeah, it is something that is risky right now. I don't have the best financially stable life right now, but I'm thinking about making this unreasonable bet. And maybe in the future I will share with you guys how it worked. That's it for today. I see you guys in another video.